Today, I am going to take a look at an OVA almost none of you have heard of. It is known as Dragon's Heaven. It was directed by Makoto Kobayashi, who is known for designing some of the mechs in Zeta Gundam. The OVA was based on a manga that Kobayashi also worked on, but good luck trying to find information on that, as it is out of print. I gotta say, Dragon's Heaven has got to be one of the most obscure OVAs I've ever come across. I've done some searching through the web, but there was no huge amount of details on it. Not even a Wikipedia page. Hell, the way I came across Dragon's Heaven is through fucking around on MAHQ's page a long time ago. Very few people are aware of it, and only a few individuals did videos on it. Is it worth the obscure reputation it has garnered over the past 28 years? Or is it a hidden gem that should be looked at more often? Let's find out. In the year 3195, there was a war between an army of robots and the humans. When Shion, a sentient combat armor, lost his companion in battle, he shuts down until his internal system spotted a new human. 1,000 years later, Shion reawakens and meets a young feisty girl named Ikuru. The two quickly became friends as Shion tells her about his arch enemy from the old war named El Medine. He believes that El Medine is still alive and causing terror in Brazil and asks for her help to destroy him. She agrees, and the two set out to stop El Medine once and for all. To start off, the OVA has a very interesting pace. It begins with this very impressive live action sequence that shows off these animatronic versions of Shion and El Medine. Then it cuts to the events of the war, and ultimately to the main portion of the OVA, and then it just ends with this 15-minute documentary on the making of the animatronics. As far as story goes, this is a 30-minute OVA, so I wasn't expecting rich and deep storytelling at all. For what it was, I thought it was pretty entertaining. The setting and the world is pretty marvelous and interesting, and it makes you want to see more of it. The characters are also pretty good for what they are. Shion is my favorite character in the OVA. His ability to understand and act out human emotions is pretty interesting. Ikuru is pretty much the only human worth noting in this OVA, and as a character she's pretty basic, although it's really difficult to tell what her motives were. Did she choose to fight with Shion to protect her city, or did she do it simply for the thrill? It was quite unclear. I will say this though, Shion's interactions with Ikuru are pretty entertaining for what they were. El Medine has a unique look, but that's really all he has going for him, as he is pretty much the standard main antagonist who doesn't give a shit about anything besides causing havoc. Does it make him a bad character? Absolutely not, as he fills the antagonist role well and can be downright vicious. With all of these interesting elements thrown in, Dragon's Heaven would be an awesome OVA series or even a full-length movie. Unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. The pacing is incredibly fast, leaving no room to really develop any characters, and if there was any character development, then it was just rushed. And just when it starts to get really good, the climax suddenly shows up out of nowhere, and then it just ends. It makes me wish that this wasn't just a 30-minute one-shot, but rather a series with at least 3 to 5 episodes, or even a movie. As it is, the story of Dragon's Heaven is pretty entertaining, but way too short and underdeveloped. The visuals are without a doubt the strongest aspect of Dragon's Heaven. It is stunning, unique, and incredibly detailed. The art style was heavily influenced by French artist Jean Giraud, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, and it shows. Every frame looks amazing, the battles, while very short, are pretty cool, and the amount of effort that was put into the art is jaw-dropping. Kobayashi's mech designs are some of the most unique designs I've ever seen. They are bulky, intimidating, and look like machinery that were built by aliens rather than humans. Just look at Shion and El Medine. You can't tell me that an average Joe could come up with those designs on the fly. Some of the mechs in the OVA look similar to other designs Kobayashi has done, like the bug robots that were clearly based on the Bound Dog from Zeta Gundam. Overall, while it may not be as stunning as other 80s titles like Do You Remember Love or Akira, The art and animation is still very impressive, and pretty much the main reason one would want to watch Dragon's Heaven. From what I recall, the music was pretty damn good. It was well orchestrated and fits the tone of the OVA. The ending theme, Dancing with a Heartache, sung by Yuko Minaguchi, is really jazzy and I get a kick out of listening to it. Overall, a really fine soundtrack to listen to. The voice acting is surprisingly top notch. I couldn't recall a moment when a character's voice got on my nerves, so that was pretty good. I would name off some seiyus, but I couldn't find anything about who was in this OVA. If you know anybody noteworthy who was involved, then feel free to comment down below. But overall, I thought it was pretty great stuff. Dragon's Heaven was clearly meant to be more of a visual experience than a narrative one, and it really shows. The quality of the animation, the music, and the acting ranges from good to fantastic. But the story and characters are very bare bones. If this was a series or a film as opposed to a 30-minute one-shot, then I think its legacy would be quite different than it is today. While the story is lackluster, I think the memorable visuals are worth the 30-minute watch. It's pretty short, so even if you hate it, you don't really got much to lose. I think Dragon's Heaven is a pretty nice hidden gem, and I commend Kobayashi for presenting us with something that is unique and intriguing. I definitely recommend this to anyone who is a fan of sci-fi anime from the 1980s. However, if you're looking for a deep story regardless of the visual quality, then you might want to look elsewhere. Final score, 6.5 out of 10.